Okay, why don't we start? People can just join as they come in. So first of all, let me just get my notes so that I stay on track. So welcome to our second social and up close network lounge presentation. We thank all of you for your time in joining us this morning. We are thrilled to have as our guest presenter Sherry Lachine of Broadmind, which Josie will more formally introduce in a few moments. Please also note that Sherry will have a PDF of her presentation, and that will be available on our website under inspiring content. So just make note of that. Also, we wish to welcome our health sponsor, Sue Robinson. He's Regional Manager and Care Planner of Right at Home Kingston, who will be saying a few words in a few moments. I always like to open up with some impactful thoughts. And I thought with the subject matter that we have today, it's called Effect of Thought on Circumstances. I just want to share this with you. Just as a gardener cultivates his plot, keeping it free from weeds and growing the flowers and fruits which he requires, so may a man tend the garden of his mind, weeding out all the wrong and useless and impure thoughts, and cultivating towards perfection the flowers and fruits of the right, useful, and pure thoughts. By pursuing this process, a man sooner or later will discover that he is the master gardener of his soul and the director of his life. So I just thought how appropriate that was, and it's from a book called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, and I thought how appropriate is that for the subject matter that we're going to have this morning. So I would like to also just mention quickly, very briefly, unfortunately on Zoom and on Facebook you hear there's some security hacking called Zoom bombing, and we're doing everything that we know in our power and learning to keep our guests safe and ourselves, our business safe. So if something crazy happens during this, just let you know I'm going to immediately shut down the meeting, and it's not, I just want you to understand that, just so that you know, but I don't think it's going to happen, but there's so much going on. I think it's so popular right now, Zoom, and unfortunately there are always people that will challenge people that just want to connect with one another, which is so important right now and as we're in isolation. So I just want to make note of that. So Josie, the floor is yours.
Oh, my dear, thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a few housekeeping rules. Please keep your microphones on mute. By all means, do place any questions you have in the group chat. It's on the right side of your screen. And as Gabby said, the presentation is being recorded and will be available on our website, plus in this week's newsletter, which we hope to get out tomorrow, actually. It is my pleasure to introduce two lovely women here today, but first I'm going to introduce our health sponsor from Right at Home, and Sue Robinson, who is the Regional Manager and Care Planner for Right at Home here in Kingston and community. And very quickly, just if you have older ones that you're older people that you love that you're very concerned for right now, please do reach out to Sue at Right at Home. They provide home care, senior care in the Greater Kingston Area, Quinte area, and communities in between. Sue, please tell us a bit about how Right at Home can be of help right now before we start off with Sherry's presentation, just for a minute or so.
So one of the things that I wanted to discuss was our social connection. It is so important right now that we keep in contact with each other, and we can't be breaking CDC guidelines. So from the beginning of time, we've lived in groups, be it family units, villages, communities. We're social creatures, and even the most introverted among us crave social interaction. So we have proven that social distancing can be incredible and impactful when it comes to containing the diseases. And as necessary as these tactics are, it does have a negative impact on health. So people around us are going to be experiencing things like fear and anxiety, depression, or loneliness. And let's face it, we're not meant to spend our days or even weeks on end closeted away, binge watching anything. So staying connected virtually, whether it's a phone call or a video call with family members, having a conversation and staying connected, that can help relieve sad or anxious feelings. Social media sites make it really easy to connect with old friends and make new ones. And research has also proven that having a lot of friends in your social network can make you feel more supported and can reduce your stress. So one of the things that I want to recommend is learning something new. Find a topic or a skill of interest, such as painting or baking or knitting, gardening, construction, or building things, hobbies and skills that can be taught through videos or video calls. Ideas like a book club or a film club, a digital Sunday dinner with your friends or family via a conference call, or volunteer locally virtually with your senior centers or home care facilities. Now, most importantly, stay positive. It's important to discuss experiences and feelings with your loved ones. Keep a daily gratitude journal. Practice mindfulness and relaxation exercises. Now, try to remember it is really important to continue to connect culturally in ways that are not defined by sharing updates about the coronavirus. Check the facts and avoid spreading misinformation. So I hope that helps people. We are here to help. If there's anything that we can do, please let us know.
Sue, thank you. That's wonderful, Sue. Thank you so very, very much. And what we'll do is in this week's newsletter, we'll have also your PDF with information and your contact number, so people can always reach out to you and ask you more questions. So, but welcome aboard, by the way. I know you're one of the newer members, so nice to see you there. But it's also now my great pleasure to introduce to everybody our keynote presenter, Sherry Lachine. And a little bit about Sherry. Sherry is the owner of Broadmind, a company with a focus on strategies for mental health in workplaces, communities, and also for individuals. She started her career as a professional engineer in the Canadian military, and then became a mental health professional with a master's in applied psychology. She has instructed mental health first aid in every province in Canada, and supports the veteran and first responder community with Wounded Warriors Canada. So it is a great pleasure to have you as our guest today, Sherry. And so, my dear, take it away, please. We did have you there a second ago.
You have to unmute. Unmute.
Technology.
Yeah, we're all learning.
I was talking some really good talk there, though, for a moment. Thank you, Josie. Thank you, Gabby, for inviting me. This is a very important topic. Comes up a lot. Sue, you did a great job giving some tools and techniques to help people sort of move through some of these challenging times. I'm hoping to provide a little additional sort of tools and tips and resources. I'm going to share a presentation, if that makes sense. I used to be an engineer. I wasn't a very good engineer, but I should be able to fly a PowerPoint. Let's give this a shot if I'm able to share the screen. Is that working?
Yes,
Yes.
I see it.
I see it.
I do have another question, though. Can you still see my face in the corner?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we can.
That's either good or not good. I'm not entirely sure. We'll find out. So again, thank you. I want to thank everyone else too for joining for this half-hour sort of discussion on mental health, especially during these challenging times. As Josie said, I've been able to teach mental health first aid right across the country. I am very used to being with people, in front of people, eyeball to eyeball, feel their energy, you know, sort of get a sense of what the room's like. This is a very different medium for me and for everyone else as well. So I thought maybe we could start off by trying to come together using a little bit of movement, a little bit of music, because I love it when people come together that we check in safely. So we're just going to try a little bit of an exercise. We're going to use a classic piece of music. It is timeless. I'm pretty sure you'll recognize it, but together I get a sense that you may want to feel like you're going to move. It's a very short segment, but here we go. This is us checking in. I'm sure you've heard it before. Come on, you're doing it. All together, connect, connect. Yes, it's the chicken dance, people. The chicken dance. One more time, one more time. And there you go. chicken it up. And we are connected. We have all done in our little isolating rooms, right? We've been able to connect in a very strange way. So thank you for humoring me. It was my daughter's idea, and there we go. So in any case, I do also want to take this opportunity to do a huge shout out to all of our healthcare workers and all of our essential service workers. I have been so impressed with the way that people have come together to support us for our essential needs. So it can't go without saying a huge shout out, because those people touch many of our lives too, personally and professionally. Here we go. Let's learn some tools and techniques. What are we going to cover? First and foremost, what I thought we'd do is go through sort of the what is mental health. People use the term mental health often, and I get a sense that, especially when I'm teaching mental health courses, that we all need to be on the same page when we're talking about mental health. So let's spend some time there and make sure that we're all on the same page, because once we know what we can do about mental health, or what mental health is, we'll know what to do about it. The second piece is essentially, how do we take care of our own mental health? And I'll go back to what Sue started us off with, really some great tips and techniques to taking care of our own mental health. I'm going to go through some of the key responses that we have as individuals to stressors and adversity, and then what we can do to recognize it and do something about it as well. And then another piece is, how do we support others? We're going to see that other people are reacting to stress and adversity in very different ways. And it's very research-based that our reaction to the way other people are reacting to stressors will have a significant impact on how they'll move through it. So let's learn about that reaction. Does that make sense? We're good with that? Okay. So in general, what is mental health? And when I do these courses, I tend to spend a little bit of time here. The last course that I taught was at the Canadian Mental Health Association on March 13th. And I don't know if you remember way back when, in March 13th, when the dominoes started to fall and things started to get canceled, and people were starting to wonder what's going on. Well, this was the last day of the last course that I've been able to teach in person. And when we were talking about mental health, a lot of the ideas that came up, where I've got it posted up here in front of me, people were talking about, when they think of mental health, they think of trauma. They think of resilience. They think of stigma. They think it's invisible. They could think that it's scary or not accepted or understood. So the ideas behind mental health, sometimes they're negative and sometimes they're positive, right? So it's a very different understanding. So I thought it may make sense that we go to the Public Health Agency of Canada and see what their definition of mental health is. And it's broken into two parts. And I kind of like to digest it in the two parts. And the first part is that mental health is the capacity of each and all of us to feel, think, and act in ways that enhance our ability to enjoy life and deal with the challenges that we face. That speaks to resilience. That speaks to being able to bounce back. Because when are we facing challenges? Is it like, a pandemic is a challenge? Is it an accident? That's a challenge. Is it somebody not replying to your email or your text message? That's a challenge. Is it worrying about, how your loved ones are being impacted by some of the stuff that's going on with COVID? That's a challenge. So we're facing challenges every single day. And so we need to recognize that our mental health, good mental health, relies on how we weather those waves and those challenges. And I'm just going to say, I have a dog, so we all have our challenges. I have a dog that may or may not indicate that somebody's walking past the house. So there are some challenges that we're going to face, and it is day to day. It's how do we weather those challenges. The other part of the definition is that they say that mental health is a positive sense of emotional and spiritual well-being. It respects the importance of culture, equity, social justice, interconnections, personal dignity. Now that's a big definition, but it's basically saying that our mental health has a lot to do with the environment that we find ourselves in. Right? So we're finding ourselves moving through an environment that has great stuff happening. It has some significant stuff happening. And it's how do we move through it? I do take issue with one word in that definition, and I wish I was invited to the meeting when they created this definition, and that's the word positive. I think that mental health can be good or positive, but your mental health could also be poor or bad, correct? That makes sense? And so putting the word positive in there is kind of basically telling you that you need to wear a happy face t-shirt, you need rainbows coming out of your behind, you need unicorns, that kind of thing. And that's not what we're trying to say. Because is it okay to be sad, angry, mad, frustrated? Yeah, damn straight it is. And that's part of being human. We are feeling beings, and we have to be able to move through those feelings. So saying that it's positive may not be exactly the right definition, but I do get a sneaky suspicion that this definition is moving in the right direction. It's not there yet, but it's moving in the right direction in terms of what is mental health. And then one reason why I say that is, have you guys heard of there's a really cool application called the Facebook? Have you heard of the Facebook? Yeah. Yeah, okay. I joined the Facebook in 2017. It's still a little new for me. It's been very helpful in these challenging times. But on the Facebook, when I joined in 2017, there was a definition in the 1880s for women to be admitted into an insane asylum. Those are words of the day. And in that definition, it included things like, if a woman read novels or books, insane asylum. If they kept bad company, insane asylum. And my favorite, if they drank whiskey, insane asylum. So that's the definition in the 1880s for women to be admitted into an insane asylum. Well, if that was the definition today, I wouldn't be here.
Neither would I.
No, right. So it's evolving. These definitions have to evolve. And I get the sense that they want us all to train ourselves to the positive, because you can do that. And in one of the resources that I'm going to share with you that I've sent to Josie and Gabby is a reading list. And in that reading list, there's a book called The Happiness Advantage by Sean Achor. And I love how he basically does the reality of the situation, that it's okay to be angry, sad, fearful, but we can train ourselves to look for the positive. And I'll go back to what Sue said at the beginning, a gratitude journal. That helps with allowing yourself to train for the positive, because the mind is like a muscle. And we need to start training it to look for the positive, because we actually have a negative bias. We actually default to the negative. We actually default to judgment. And that really impacts our social connections. So we've got to be very mindful of that. So what happens when you have good mental health, you're working on your mental health, how does it get impacted? How does it get off kilter or off balance? Well, let's call that adversity or stress or challenges. So what happens when we are stressed? Little stress, big stress. And remember, stress impacts each of us very differently. And so recognizing that any number of stressors, having to stay at home, having to close your business. I had to cancel on that Friday 9 different courses right across the country, from Cold Lake, Montreal to Newfoundland. And it was stressful. I had to go pick up my daughter, who was at Trent University, the next day. That was stressful. And it was stressful for her in managing her emotions. I then had calls from friends and family with young children weeks later. They didn't know what they were going to do. Stressful. There's stress, these moments of stress that are very unique to these times, but also applicable in our normal, right? How we used to operate, and will hopefully get back to. So what happens when you get these stressors or these challenges? Something happens in us that is very physical. We go into fight, flight, and freeze. We have an ancient part of our brain that actually just puts us into fight, flight, freeze, including no one liked my stuff on Facebook. That could be something that sends you into fight, flight, freeze. This is a real physical reaction. And once you recognize that you're actually reacting to these stressors, and it could be subtle, right? These buildup of bits and pieces of stress. Like, I don't know about you, I go to the KFLNA Public Health Unit webpage for COVID-19 every day. And I watched the tally of people getting diagnosed with COVID. And I didn't realize until a couple of days ago, that was cumulative stress for me. So I've had to stop that and make sure that I'm digesting my media in a really significant and purposeful way, because I'm starting to realize that I was in a little bit of a fight, flight, and freeze moment. Believe it or not, once you realize that you're doing that, you can actually do something about it. So I'll tell you about, I've got a biohack that has been proven to get you back online and tell your nervous system that you're no longer in fight, flight, freeze. So that's coming up. Some of you already know this stuff, but it's a refresh together. So what I use, and anytime I do a course, I use this mental health thermometer. I call it a thermometer because I'm a reformed engineer and I still like to use tools, even though, as I said, I was a terrible engineer. I really wanted to study psychology, but I went for the engineering. The military was kind of interesting too, but that's a different topic altogether. I did take this thermometer from the military. They have a program called the Road to Mental Readiness, and it's called the Mental Health Continuum. So Gabby mentioned that I'm going to share these slides with you, so you'll have this thermometer as well. But what you can do is you can Dr. Google Mental Health Continuum, and you'll get a variety of different thermometers. And here's how it works. And many of you have heard me talk about this before. So again, this is a refresher. But look how it works. We've got green. Actually, I'm going to try and do it with green, yellow, orange, and red. So green is essentially that you're healthy, right? You're operating in your normal, not anybody else's definition of normal, but your normal. When I look at healthy, I look at it in terms of three main components. The biology, right? Sort of what you're eating, how your body's reacting, are you in pain? The psychology, what's the story in your head? How do you see things? Are you really tending to the negative? Or are you training yourself to the positive? And the social. We, again, and Sue, I love how you started this. We are social beings. We are feeling beings, and we are social beings. We are hardwired to connect, and we need to connect. And that's why these type of gatherings are really, really important. So I look at biopsychosocial, and I'm looking at my green healthy. Am I operating well in each one of those? Am I sleeping okay? Right? Am I a little self-confident, physically and socially active? So that's green, you're normal. Yellow is you're reacting to something. Something's starting to come up, and it's common and reversible distress. And I like to do this when I'm teaching. It's like you're taking your own pulse, right? If you are reacting, maybe you're a little irritable, maybe you're a little impatient, maybe you're forgetting things, you're procrastinating. Oh, and by the way, I'm procrastinating a lot recently, so just so you know, we're all on the same page there. Maybe your energy is lowered, you have some difficulty relaxing. Sleep gets impacted. And for me, sleep is a key indicator. I use that here in the family to say, how did you sleep last night? What was going on? Did you wake up? Were you having difficulty falling or staying asleep? In green and yellow, if you look on the top, it says self-care and social support. You can actually support yourself in those two colors, those two areas, through self-care and social support. And self-care is something that's very unique to each person. We take care of ourselves in our very own way. And there are a lot of different ideas out there. But again, I think of biopsychosocial, your biology, your psychology, and how you're socially connecting. I like to do at least one of those things a day, in each of those categories a day. Now we're moving over to sort of that orange and red piece. We're looking at now an injured and ill. And here's where we want to pay attention. If someone is sort of really injured as a result of mental health challenges or adversity, you're going to see some anger, some anxiety, maybe some lingering sadness. Sleep is going to get impacted. Maybe people are avoiding those calls, not replying to those texts. That is potentially someone who's in the orange. And then red is what we would call ill. It could be a clinical disorder. You know, that significant functional impairment. Somebody who is easily enraged. If you've ever talked to somebody and they snap like that, or I've been there where I snapped like that. I've been in the red and I know what it feels like. And when I was in the red, and if anybody pointed that out to me, I was like, don't talk to me. It's hard. So we need to recognize when we're in the red. We need to recognize when someone else is in the red. Because the research also shows that the sooner someone gets the care and attention that they need, the more likely they're going to be able to move over back into their yellow or their green. So because we're in smaller units right now, we need to pay attention to this so that we can actually identify these yellow, orange, and red pieces. And I'm going to talk about some of the resources out there that can help you as you're helping others, and you can give to others as resources so they can support themselves. Does that make sense in terms of a little bit of a thermometer? So you'll have this tool to look at and to refer to and to self-assess and to sort of get an idea of where other people are and how they're reacting. So I really like that one. Okay, so here are some of the things that we can do to take care of our own mental health. And I told you about the stress reaction, that fight, flight, freeze. And I told you that there was going to be a biohack. Well, here it is. It's your breath. If we can take very deep, deep breaths with a prolonged exhale where you get all the air out, if you can do a number of those, you're actually telling your nervous system that you're okay. This works for panic attacks. This works for just daily maintenance or mental hygiene to make sure that you're doing okay. There are several different apps out there for it. There's breathe.com, which is in your resources, and calm.com, which is also in your resources. There's also on Kids Help Phone, there's a little tool, and it's this balloon that fills up and exhales, and you just follow along with it. And what it does, you'll feel it, that you're actually telling your nervous system that you're okay. So that's a simple biohack. Other biohacks, things like mindfulness and gratitude, that's sort of, the biohack of breathing is from your lizard brain up. The biohack of mindfulness and gratitude is from your thinking brain down, to calm yourself down. So I often tell people the breathing piece, once you figure that out, you're gonna do okay. And it requires practice. I've talked to a number of people, they're like, Sherry, it's not working. Requires practice. The other thing that I like to tell people is that we need to connect, we need to talk to someone. And that someone needs to be a safe other. And what I mean by a safe other is, I've already mentioned that we have a tendency towards the negative. We have a tendency towards judgment. We need to find a safe other where we feel that we could safely share our feelings. So find someone to talk to. And I'm going to give you a couple of resources where you can talk. The Addictions Mental Health Crisis Line is actually a line that you can call and chat with someone. So I'm going to give you that one at the end as well, and it's in your resources. The other one is Bounce Back Ontario. That's an opportunity to have your own private coach, free of charge. They send you booklets, you work through the booklets, and then you talk to someone on the phone. Another opportunity to be able to talk to someone. Or if there's someone in your family that you feel safe with, have those conversations. The other part that I highly recommend in order to take care of ourselves is to focus on and look at your nutrition. I just saw on the Facebook yesterday that somebody wanted to self-isolate from their refrigerator. And I get it, I get it. I'm a scoop of peanut butter kind of gal, you know, every time I'm in the kitchen, scoop of peanut butter. There's a lot of sugar in there and a lot of salt, but it's just so good. I do have to focus on my nutrition though, because recognizing that there are some foods that make us feel weighted down, sluggish. We need to sort of focus on what that can look like. And in the resources, I've also included a holistic nutritionist that I get to work with, and she does a lot of mood and food. She's also my sister. She's lovely. Her name's Devin Cosgrove. So I've put her in the resources. I've asked for her permission if you wanted to reach out and get some ideas around nutrition. Exercise, that comes up a lot. Even just a little bit of exercise. It doesn't have to be super vigorous. This is my technique and my tactic for surviving quarantine. I need to just be able to get outside, rain, snow. We haven't had much snow since this started, but I just need to be able to just get outside safely, right? We do need to maintain physical distance, but I do need to be able to walk. Greenwood Park here has this lovely path. I avoid people, but I walk around. And I've got, I luckily last year bought myself some hiking boots. They're fabulous. I call them my foot tanks. So I put on my foot tanks and I start walking around and I listen to podcasts and books. So that for me has been what I've been doing to be able to stay safe. And the last thing that I'm going to recommend, although there are many, many recommendations, I've got a whole list of 23 here. I'm going to also pull out a few others, but this one is this shift in perspective. Cognitive behavioral therapy, if you've heard of that, CBT, is all about challenging that story that's in your head that you're using to see the world. And I read it on the Facebook as well. Some people are actually helping others do that by helping them shift the perspective on what they're doing when they're looking at others. When other people are at, say, Rona, buying paint during a pandemic, you know, maybe immediately your thought goes to, that's not essential. But in the Facebook, in this description, I thought it was so interesting. They said, well, maybe that individual is going to busy themselves with painting so they don't drink beer all day. Right. So like just a shift in perspective, giving people a wide berth and the benefit of the doubt as we go through it, knowing that we have a penchant towards the negative. I don't know why I said penchant, but there it was, towards the negative. And so to recognize, whoa, look, I just judged that person. I need to back off and potentially accept that there's another avenue or explanation. So those are some of the things, how to take care of your mental health. Just this morning, I read this one and I wanted to share it with you, especially in terms of challenges in being isolated. Say you've got young children at home, say you're trying to homeschool and that just wasn't something that you were prepared for. One of the things that they're also recommending is that just spend that time with kids, right? Maybe remove the phone, remove technology, spend the time with the kids and just sort of be with them. Focus on safety and attachment. They may not be able to verbalize what's going on, but safety and attachment is all that we can do right now, just if anything, just to make sure that they feel safe. At the end, I'm also going to give you the Kids Help phone line for ages 5 to 20, although I've given it to 30-year-olds. The Kids Help phone line is a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week call, text, live chat. And I've tested it out. I did the the text feature. And when I was able to send it out, this lady replied to me. She says, Sherry, I'm providing you a safe, non-judgmental environment. I said, I teach mental health first aid. I just want to see what this feels like. And she goes, oh, no problem. That's great. And I said, thank you very much. She's about to hang up and she got back to me. She said, but Sherry, how are you doing? I went, damn, you're good. Right? She really wanted to make sure that even though I wasn't in the age category, that I was okay. So I highly recommend Kids Help Phone, and I think the government has just funneled some money to support that. One of the things that comes up a lot when I'm chatting with people is this whole idea around control. And I saw this this graphic again on the Facebook. And you know what? 2017, if I didn't get on the Facebook, I'd be lost. But this I saw on, and I thought it was just really appropriate because this lack of control is a really hard thing. We don't know, what the next day is going to bring. We want to be able to just sort of chunk our time and go, this too shall pass. This too will change. But I want to, as we move through that, in order to sort of lessen some of the stressors, recognize that you can't control everything. And in this graphic, which again, you'll have a copy of it, notice the things that you can't control, so you're going to let them go. Things like the actions of others, you can't control that. Predicting what's happening, if the others aren't following the rules of physical distancing. The things you can control are your attitude and your perspective, turning off the news and finding fun things to do and connecting with the people that are around you, even around you and by reaching out. Does that sort of make sense too, in terms of just sort of being able to release some of that control? And if people are spiritual, which I know my mother certainly is, and a number of people in my life certainly are, they turn to religion, they turn to their spirituality, and they give a lot of these challenges up to their God. So that's an important piece too, if that's where you spend your time and where you connect with. A really important thing, how to support others. I mentioned at the very beginning that the research points to the fact that our reaction to others in terms of adversity, trauma, and stress has a significant impact on how they're going to move through this stress. So here's some of the tools and the techniques and the thoughts around how do you support someone who's experiencing those challenges, because our tendency may be towards problem solving. I don't know if you guys are problem solvers, but we may want to just sort of jump in and say, oh, I know what you should do. This is what you should do. I don't know if you have anybody in your life like that. What we can do from this point forward to support others, and I'm going to put, and I've got a little quick video. I'm hoping that works out right after this, just to sort of solidify it. And this is a video that you can show others to help them understand how they can support, but validate. Validating somebody's emotional experience and their feelings is huge. You may not understand or align with where they are in terms of their feelings, but we need to validate that what they're going through is true and real. And in the video that I'm going to show you, there's going to be a tool there, and I'm going to implore you to use it daily. The other one is listening without judging. Again, we err on the side of the negative. We tend to want to judge. We need to be able to train ourselves to withhold or reserve judgment to the best of our ability to support others. Providing a safe, non-judgmental zone is really, really important so people can feel like they can share safely. It's a key component for us moving through those feelings that we need to move through. We're feeling creatures. We need to move through those feelings safely. I put a check in, and Microsoft PowerPoint chose a check. This would have been better, but you know, well, with the new CERB coming out, I don't know, maybe hopefully we'll get some financial checks. But this check-in is pay attention in terms of that thermometer with others. If you sort of see some of those orange behaviors, including they're not answering their email or their texts, try and do a check-in. My lovely son and his lovely girlfriend, they live in Kingston away, but I try to just do a text check-in at least every day, just to make sure that they know that I care, that I'm there. They're fiercely independent, right? Loving this quarantine thing from what I can gather, maybe. But I'm needing to do a check-in. And then I've got some friends, veterans, who have post-traumatic stress disorder. And I've been checking in with them in very different ways. We created a WhatsApp group. And in that WhatsApp group, we just daily, if there's something funny that we want to connect with, if people sort of go dark, then we reach out to them separately. So just these slight check-ins when it feels right for you, right? Ultimately speaking, as much as we're talking about taking care of others, you need to take care of yourself first and foremost. That whole oxygen mask thing, right? You guys heard of that one, right? Well, you know, when you're on the plane, when we used to fly on planes, do you remember that? No. Mm-hmm. They used to tell you about the oxygen mask falling, and we all know that we need to put ours on first before assisting others. But if you tell a parent that, they're going to be assisting others before they assist themselves. And so in these moments, I think we need to really focus on what we need to do to take care of ourselves. And that's part of that mental health thermometer too, making sure that you're checking in not only with others, but with yourself. And then finding ways where you can reduce that stress by either breathing, talking to someone, other self-care techniques like meditation, going for that walk, taking care of yourself from a nutrition perspective, and so much more. There's a lot of information out there to support you. So that's some of the how to support others. I'm going to play that video. How are we on time?
We're fine. We're
good. Okay,
we all
so
have time.
many of you have probably seen this video. I use it as a really interesting way to show how we can support others, especially when we're in the mode of problem solving, because we may see a problem and we want to fix it. At the end of this video, you'll see that the guy figures out what he needs to do and say to support his wife. You ready? And Abby, because I can see you really well, if you can hear it and see it, if you can give me a thumbs up after I start.
Okay.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me. And I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head. And it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there.
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing.
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See,
out.
you're not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just, sometimes it's like, there's this achy, I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
That sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Oh, come on. If you would just...
Don't!
Try to see things my way. Do I have to keep on talking?
So I just like the song, so just let that ride. We can work it out. There we go. So now that was a husband-wife team, and clearly there was something, you know, she had a nail in her head, which for some of us, when other people have problems, it's so clear. And it's not clear to that person who's dealing with it. And so did you hear him? He just like, I could fix this for you. I know exactly what you should do. Kind of like when I wasn't doing really well and people looked at me and said, Sherry, you should go to therapy. I wasn't ready for that. I wasn't ready to hear. I am now. If you tell me that now, I'm like, okay, all right, I'm all in. I'm all in. I wasn't ready for that. And so what did he do to try and help her move through what she was really feeling? He validated her pain. And he used the term or the words, that sounds really hard. Even our doctors learn words to put us at ease. When we go into the emergency room with something going on, or our clinic, and we show the doctor either a horrible gash or a rash or something, they don't go, whoa, that's disgusting. No. They basically say things like, well, isn't that interesting, right? To bring it down. And so we need to learn these word tools to be able to support others. And I highly recommend that you try that. You know what? Thanks for sharing that with me. That sounds really hard. So it could be a tool to just support people by validating what they're going through and then not judging as they're able to explain it. Does that sort of make sense? And it works in relationships, but it also works like in husband, wife, partner, but also works with other relationships. I used it on my daughter. She came back from school when they were going to school, and she was telling me a story about things that were going really, really wrong. And I didn't fully understand what it was, but I just said, oh, I'm going to give it a shot. And I said, Mary, that sounds really hard. She looked at me and she said, it is, Mom. It's really hard. Thank you. And a few days later, I told her, hey, I use this tool to help connect with you and understand what's going on. And she went, oh, okay. 2 months later, I came back home and I was like, and then this happened, and then this happened. And she looked at me and she said, Mom, that sounds really hard. And I went, oh. And so recognizing that we as humans just need to hear those validating words. So those are some tools that you can use to support yourself and others. Does that sort of make sense there too? I'm going to leave you with some of the resources that I mentioned. So Kids Help Phone I mentioned, Bounce Back I mentioned, Connects Ontario is another 1-800 number where you can talk to someone and get ideas about where to go next. But if at the very least you remember one resource, that'll be 211. 211 is a directory service you call, and they will guide you to where you need to go from, especially amidst these times. They've been very good at getting the right information so that they can pass that stuff out. So 211 call, or 211.ca, which is also in your resources. Other things that we've got Good to Talk, which is post-secondary student helpline. It's kind of connected with Kids Help Phone, but they sort of focus on an older student population. And then the last one, what we have here in Kingston, Addictions and Mental Health. I called the 24-hour crisis line a number of weeks ago to get a sense of how they're operating now. And they told me that it could be different now because of maybe they've got a little bit of extra pressure, but I just called and chatted with them. And then they were able to recommend other resources. So here's some things that you can use to start reaching out. And I highly recommend that we start reaching out. Maybe take this as an opportunity to really focus on our mental fitness and our mental hygiene. And that includes creating a team, which may include a therapist. And so these are all ways that you can get it free of charge, which I like. I'm going to leave you with, I'm looking at the time where it'll, how much time do I have? What else can I do?
You're okay. You're fine. You're absolutely fine.
Because there are other things that we can do to support each other. I do love the idea that we do the check-ins. I do want to recognize that we need to do this together. Human beings are inherently resilient, and we can be resilient if we are in a safe place with safe others. When it comes to things like adversity, challenges, and trauma, oftentimes we talk about the fact that we hit trauma and maybe we dip, and we talk about post-traumatic stress disorder. But sometimes when we hit trauma or adversity or challenges, we grow. And so I want to just leave you with that idea that there are opportunities for thriving and growth, but I do believe that we need the key conditions in order for that to happen. And one of the key conditions is safe others. So some of the tools and techniques and ideas that we talked about, or that I blathered on about today, are all about creating those safe spaces so that we can support others and create environments where resilience can be achieved. And that's also including that validating someone's emotions, the no judgment, guiding them to some of these resources. We can certainly do this, but we have to be able to do this together. So I'm so glad, Josie and Gabby, that you put this together. I hope that I was able to provide some ideas and some value in these times. I am a resource to you. As I told you, all of my courses have been canceled. I'm gardening and cooking and supporting my family. But if there's anything that I can do to support you, please do let me know. And with that, I will hand it over for questions potentially.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Sherry, I'm speechless. You've done an amazing, thank you so much for the tips, the resources, the insight that we all need at this point in our life and also in the future. And we appreciate your professional presentations that you put together here. Thank you from both Josie and myself. It's remarkable. It's the first time that I've heard you, and we will certainly be continue to stay in touch with you.
Well, and I need to join Women Mean Business.
I think so. Yes, it's high time.
What have I been waiting for? Yeah.
No, really, thank you so much for your time in putting this together. It was awesome. And I know that just from some of the comments I'm getting here that people really appreciate the content. Let me thank you for making this opportunity available to all of us, Gabby, Josie, and Sherry. Thank you, Sherry and Women Mean Business, for setting this up. It's from Josie.
Thank you, Josie.
Very good. There's a whole bunch here. So maybe if you could remove your presentation, then I can open up again. I'm sorry. There we go. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you.
So you don't want to finish off with the chicken dance? Are we good with the chicken dance?
The chicken dance, I haven't done that in years. It was a great idea.
There's a reason why.
But once again, we sincerely thank you and appreciate your time. And also Sue Robinson of Right at Home Kingston as our health sponsor. Thank you for being part of us today. And we are looking forward to next week. We're actually going to carry on with the health aspect and have Sean Adamson, owner of Quick Fit, and Kim Johnson of Pilates Plus for 40 Plus about let's get physical and see what kind of tips and resources they can give us in isolation. So this month is all about wellness, the mental wellness, the physical, and then the following week we will have Sherry Lachine of Ace Nutrition, the expert in nutrition here in Kingston as well, speaking to our group. And then we have, at the end, we have Catherine Bell with the Power of Presence Online. So we're really excited about our April setup, and we're really working for May and June ahead. And we're just like everybody else, we're taking it day by day, but we are working ahead to keep this up. I think it's a great way to communicate, to share our experts in our own community and come together as social beings as much as we love. We love putting our events together. So these are our events online with great content. So thank you, thank you. And so Josie, have any comments? I'm rambling on here.
No, I think you said it very well, Gabby. You know, Sherry, thank you so much for your fabulous presentation. The comments that have been coming up, I've been watching. People really appreciated your presentation and also the resources that you have. We're going to have them in tomorrow's newsletter called Connect and Flourish, but it'll also be up online under Inspiring Content. You can find it there too. Extremely helpful, and like Sherry says, so much of it is free and available to us. We just need to know what it is. So thank you again, and thank you, Sue. That was a wonderful information as well from Right at Home. That was very helpful. Thank you so much to our health sponsor. And so Gabby?
Yes. So happy Easter weekend, everyone.
Easter.
Enjoy your weekend with your family, and we look forward to next week on Tuesday, the same time. We will do the same thing. Eventbrite invite will come out. You'll see it online, Facebook, And also, we will send out the link Monday late afternoon for that Tuesday morning presentation at 10:30. Thank you all. Happy Easter, everyone. Hang in
Happy
there.
Easter,
And thank
everybody.
you, Sherry and Sue. All the best.
Hey.
Love you all. Bye.
Thank you.